how to rediscover the purpose in life.
You know, there is no purpose in life. This is an idea. It's just to enjoy, to discover yourself, to have new experiences. It's not that God has this idea for you, and when you follow that path, you will self-realize. In fact, it's quite the opposite. This is like a huge playground, and you need to enjoy each moment. You need to give in each moment. You need to discover your unlimited possibilities and find joy and give that joy. It's not that there's something specific you need to do. You know, some people have gifts. Some people have many. Some people don't have anything specific. But that doesn't mean that their life can't be as fulfilling as other people's. You know, the important thing in life is to always give 100%. Give the best of you in every moment. And that's the greatest gift that you can give to yourself, but it's also the greatest gift that you can be giving to humanity. And through your own evolution, you give that evolution to other people. You know, when you find yourself, when you start to love yourself, you have a light that inspires other people. And I'm not just talking about being enlightened. I'm just talking about internal change, feeling that peace, experiencing consciousness. That empowers other people to do the same. Getting over insecurities, addictions, anything in life. Going through difficult situations, be it separations, death, sickness, overcoming limitations, things we perceive as limitations, and finding ourselves. That's the greatest gift we can give to humanity. You know, we have this idea that it has to be extraordinary, but it's not like that. You know, there's one Shakira, there's one Picasso, there's one Michelangelo, there's one whatever, and you have to be your one. And that will be as unique and as special as everyone else's. You know, it doesn't have to be popular or followed by the masses. The masses follow stupidities. Well, they do. You know, they follow the most simplistic things. You know, be a light unto yourself. That's your purpose in life.
You always talk that the family is the basis of all relationships. How a mother can create harmony between the children?
You can't. How are you going to create harmony? You know, children are different. They have their own experiences. They have their own projections. They have their own self-discoveries. The only thing you can give to your children is your own internal security and love. And let go of the attachment. The greatest thing you can give to your children is an unconditionally loving base and the freedom to discover themselves. And it's only natural that there's going to be separation within the family. Separation in terms of personality. They're individuals. You know, they're not a nest and all the chicks come out the same. They're all different. They're all unique. So there might be harmony, or maybe not. But does it matter? Friction creates change. You know, and as children start to grow up, they start to exert their individuality. They're trying to discover themselves. You know, you don't want a bunch of little robots. You know, you want children that are questioning, discovering, evolving. These are the sort of children that end up being great. You know, if they're all in peace, love and harmony, stuffing everything with their perfect masks, how do they evolve? They don't evolve. That's why it's so important to let them have their own experience. And trust in what you've instilled in them through your own experience. Because that base is always there. That love is always there. That security is always there. But they're going to have their own experiences. They don't all turn out the same. The only harmony you can find within the family is your internal harmony. It's like in the world. You have to be the peace in the midst of chaos. And enjoy the chaos. That was one of the things I loved about coming to Latin America. It's all a mess. And it's fabulous. It's colourful, it's full of love, it's got so many different flavours. You know, in Australia everything's perfect. It's like this. They even drive 15 metres apart. Yeah, they're so boring. It's really, really... And here everything's crazy. You know, you've got the cartel here, you've got the there, you've got that, you've got this, you've got what do you call them, the favelas, and then the mansions, and it's all... It's colourful, it's fun. Latin America's great.
In the fourth portal, you talk about the creator. Can you tell me how to develop more that facet?
It's not something to develop. It's something to realize. I am creating in every moment. And I am responsible for my response. And that comes through the expansion of consciousness. You know, all of that portal, it starts with the witnessing, the transformation, the essence of the presence, the creation, and the responsibility, and ultimately the mirror of perfection. And so what is the mirror of perfection? No judgment. That's the mirror of perfection. You look and you perceive perfection. How do you perceive perfection? Through your own internal perfection. Perfection within, perfection without. But it's not like what we think. You know, it's not the secret. How am I going to create? It's not that. It's way beyond that. Way beyond that. It's the self-realization of your own divinity and the perfection within what we perceive as imperfection. That's why the facets are so annoying. Because they make no sense. But they're not meant to make sense. They're beyond that.
Before coming here, fail a project that I was very attached to. I felt that was defining me. I feel I was able to let go, but I still have I want to do it. I want to realize it. I would like to know the difference in between the attachment or wanting to do it, but really from consciousness.
What's the project?
The development of the land, of the house for the beer.
So the thing is, if you're doing something because you have a passion for that, you do it with love. Yes? And it's something that you're trying to create. Why? Because you think it's sustainable, because you think it's good for the country, because you think it's good for the land, because you think it's profitable, because you think it's unique. I don't know. But you have to do it from that place, like of wonderment and joy. Not if I succeed, then I as a person, I'm successful. You know, you have to look at what you're doing. Are you giving? Are you doing something that gives? Something creative? Something new? Something different? Something innovative for humanity and for yourself? Or are you just defining yourself with, well, I knew it was a good idea, and now look at me, I'm rich. And if you don't succeed, I'm a failure. You have to answer that question. Are you doing it to define yourself or to experience yourself? You know, I look at, actually, I watched a movie the other day, and they had this company, and they built it, and it became so big that everyone that created this company became unimportant. The only thing that was important when they went public was the shares, the shareholders. And all the CEOs were paying themselves millions and millions and millions of dollars of excess at the end of the year. And they were cutting jobs, cutting jobs, cutting jobs, cutting jobs, cutting jobs, cutting jobs. And there was people that had been there for 40 years, 30 years. So it got to a point where the joy of all this creation, the joy of doing this, employing people, giving to families, giving to the world, ended up just being numbers on a page. And these people had so much money. They didn't even know what to do with it. You know, we're talking about billions. But their humanity was gone. People that had been with them for 50 years, they threw out on the street, and they knew who those people were. So is that success? That people become unimportant? That the reason you're doing something becomes unimportant, and the only thing important is the figures on the paper? And I thought that was such a clear indication as the Russians march off to war and destroy another country. How crazy we all are. How crazy we all are. Because we've lost that capacity to see what's important, to give to the people, to give to the planet, to give to the world. These are the things that are important. You know, and I woke up, and it was funny because the day before I'd watched another movie where there was a group of people taking all the Jews out of Europe, no? in the time when Hitler was killing them all. But really killing them all. Like, he wiped out millions and millions of people. And I was watching that, and the effort that so many people went to against the government, against everything, rich people, people that could lose everything, to get these Jews out, breaking all the laws, everything. And I thought, I watched that, and I thought the extreme goodness of humanity in the face of such terrorism, and that goodness, no? That goodness. And then I watched the other movie, and I felt this sadness that on some level we've lost that. Like, you imagine that war that's happening in Europe. It's next door, and everyone's ignoring it. Why? Because they're comfortable. They don't want to upset the Russians. They don't want to upset the Chinese. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. But there's absolute destruction happening. And we all need a big shake. There has to be some clarity somewhere. We're talking about saving the planet and saving the whales and taking the pollution out of the ocean. And just after a pandemic, we're all going to war and killing each other and destroying cities. Ancient European cities, beautiful, full of art and architecture that's irreplaceable. Why? Why? And these are the questions we have to ask ourselves. Why do we do this? Why do we experience so much lack that we have to grasp and destroy? So, that's a far cry from growing hops in Argentina. But you know, I think as sustainable human beings, we have to start asking these questions. What am I doing that's contributing? And that's what's important in this day and age. And so I start with myself. Am I loving myself? Am I radiating peace? Am I being integral? Am I flowing with change? Or am I holding on to old paradigms? And then from that place, I move into action. That was the end of my political speech. But it's true, no? It's true.
Why we people are addicted to suffer, and how to heal that.
Well, you're healing it now. You came here to do that. That's what you're doing. You're learning to love yourself. You know, you like to feel something. Children love to feel something. And often that something is anguish, sadness, feeling like victims. They enjoy that. And it's because you're addicted to the feeling. But you swear you're not. So you come here because I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to feel fear. I don't want to be a victim. Hallelujah. So how do I change that? Well, I have to start focusing on consciousness. I have to start looking for that which sustains my experience of internal abundance. And there's only one answer, and one answer only, and that's love. And it's an energy that's inside of us. And you have to enjoy that energy and see the attraction to the opposite. It's dramatic. Makes me feel emotion. That's why everyone loves this system. They go bam, 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 bam. Oh, did you express today? Yes, I'm going to express. And you do, you enjoy the expression. You swear you don't, but you love it. Or you love resisting it. No, I don't want to express. I'm not going to express. I don't like feeling my feelings. What's that? It's a feeling of being shut down, rigid, and not enjoying life. So you have to ask yourself all these questions. What is it I do habitually? And what do I really want? And in order to get what I want, I have to do something completely different. Because if I keep doing the same thing, I'm not going to get it. Okay, and that's the only time you have to use your intellect. Just when that question comes. Just that one question. Do I always do this? Okay, I'm going to do something different. And see that. We're trained to feel good. Good girl, here's a reward. Bad girl, you're in trouble. Okay? And we think we want the good. But at some point, we don't care what it is. We just want attention. And that's another thing you have to see. And that comes through liberating all of this rubbish and expanding consciousness. You know, when I first started expanding consciousness, I used to write songs. And they were very intense, huh? Very intense. About my broken heart. And I used to write the best songs. And then I'd get up there and I'd sing them with absolute passion. And then I started expanding my consciousness. And I started writing songs about like a crossover of God, or I don't know. Like letting go of pain, and truth will set me free, and have an angel by your side. And then I woke up. And guess what? No more songs. I wrote a couple, you know. But all that intense inspiration was gone. Because suffering has a pleasure, no? It has this pleasure because it's so tangible. You can feel it. And it's got so many words to express it. Joy's just joy. You know, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. But it's like that. But sadness, oh, wow. And see that as well. See it. And really look. Really look. Maybe I actually enjoy this. Maybe I like that intense. But once you really start to experience consciousness, you'll see how ridiculous it was. And you look back and you think, because really, if you say yes to life, it's very, very easy. If you say no,
Why? We unlock memories and unification. And if really, we really relate from that memories that we cannot remember normally, even if we are not aware of those things, that moves us.
of course.
Claro.
You know, everything you perceive is your perception. It's your emotional memory of things that have transpired. That's what creates your personality. And as you release that, it all comes up with a memory. But when it loses the emotional charge, it no longer exists. Because the truth is, it never existed. It was a projection. The greatness of who you are is absolutely pristine. And it's absolutely empty. But because of your human experiences, you're having these things happen, you're memorizing them, and they're creating emotion. It's like when you first create fear, it's a shock to the system. And it's like a photograph. Your system goes, and it locks the memory. So something happens externally, and it recreates that feeling. A classic is abandonment. But abandonment isn't something clear. It's a thought that comes that there's something wrong, that I'm not good enough. And in order not to be abandoned, I have to change. And from the moment you're little children, things happen. Like your mother might come in one day and you're singing. And your mother says, "Shut up, I'm sick of your voice." There's something wrong with my voice. And you never sing again. These things happen all the time. Because little kids are so sensitive and they take everything so literally and they're so affected that they start to become smaller and smaller and smaller. Or they go in the opposite direction. They start to do things wrong to try and get attention. We all have different behaviors to different situations. But as you liberate all of that, you just come back to yourself and the outside stops affecting you. It stops affecting you. It's like that. That's how you create the human experience. Isn't it great? It's so clever, no? It's incredible. But it's incredible. And it's all locked in the body. What is it that Eckhart Tolle calls it? Your pain body. I don't know if it's that, but it's a memory bank. And it's sparked by a thought or a situation or a smell. Have you ever noticed when you're unifying, all of a sudden you'll smell something and it will remind you of something from your childhood? Like, we don't forget anything. It's all locked in our subconscious. And as it starts to leave, that which doesn't serve, often we see. So when you're going deep inside and the facets are stirring everything up, you'll start to see. And you remember things. Oh, I remember that now. You know, sometimes in the meetings, people say things, and other people remember things from their childhood. You know, the things that happened. I remember when I was a child, I just didn't understand anything. I thought humans were cruel. I thought they treated animals bad. Everything affected me. But I didn't know why. It's just how I felt. I felt that. I felt there was something very wrong. And I didn't know what it was. I'm sure a lot of you had that feeling as you're looking at the world. It all feels a bit weird, no? Or no? Sure.
Love consciousness is related to the inner child?
The purest form of the innocent child before the creation of ego is love consciousness. It's your divinity. So yes, it's the same thing. Divinity, soul, God, whatever you want to call it. It depends what human wants to call it. It often changes too. But yes, the inner child is absolute unconditional love. Empty.
Before coming, my father told me, have criteria and don't believe all what is told to you.
I think that's a very good advice.
So, to open to receive all what is told to me, reflections and all that. It gets stuck in my head something, no? Because that advice of my dad, watch out, is criteria is a rational thing, or you can open to receive whatever is told.
Okay, I'll tell you. He's talking about a criteria that comes from your intellect, no? And it's good to question things in life, in general. Question everything. But when it comes to reflections, always be open. Open with a big yes. Because I'll tell you a big secret. Nothing anyone says to you can hurt you unless it's in you. And then it's not going to hurt you. It's going to liberate you. So assume everyone's telling you the truth. Because this is not a place of intellect. It's a place of emotional liberation. So be open and feel whatever it provokes. Because it's a completely different situation. Don't use that, use your criteria, as an excuse to push back to protect yourself. Yeah? So always open. Always say yes. And always go in and look.
Come visit our webpage for books, movies, and our wonderful retreat centers. Isha's simple yet powerful system is transforming lives around the world.